should marketing be an enabler to HR? Right, we're going to take this question on with Esther, the CMO of Wrike, W-R-I-K-E. Esther was absolutely brilliant. We really aligned on a number of questions. As we dove in, the first section that I'd like to introduce you to is about unifying message internally.
How do we have a unified message internally? How do people know what we do as an organization, as a product, as a solution? And it's really important that you have a very clear, concise, and high impact message out in the market. It's the only way that people are going to understand who are you and why should I care?
We started with a number of questions that would be posed in order for HR, looking at the employee experience, begin to bring in some of the marketing capabilities, some of the marketing mindsets, and think about the resources in order for HR to be able to do kind of a similar level of an ability to deliver the right message at the right time. Right, as I mentioned in the previous segment, we talked about what is the difference between sales and marketing. Well, sales owns the relationship, right? Marketing owns the message. What is the difference between HR and marketing? Well, it depends. We're going to figure it out because quite possibly, as we're about to talk about in this episode, can HR own both the relationship and the message? So check out some of the questions Esther is posing as we begin to think about what it would require.
How do you actually bring your solutions, your message to the right people at the right time so they understand, again, why should I care and why should I buy? And I think that those actually resonate really well in conjunction to internal employee experience and employee enablement. I think those are actually things that HR can benefit greatly from, both if you have a really strong marketing structure, but also if they follow the similar path of build the foundation, have a really clear understanding of the data-driven aspects behind HR processes around how do you engage with employees.
The next area that we explored was the connection between culture and marketing, right, which is also, in my mind, touches almost at the highest level the question of what is the function of marketing, right? In some cases, the mindset is, hey, it's about promotion, it's about advertising, it's about selling, right? The brand externally. But I think for those who get it, I think for those who truly understand the role of marketing, it's about creating a feeling, right? It's about creating a connection between the customer, right? Between that human and the brand, right? So when we think about that as what marketing is, how would you connect that to culture?
Like I said, I think marketing should be some of the absolute culture bearers of an organization. And the way that I think about culture is, first, there needs to be a level of purpose for companies, right? And for employees within companies. Because culture is not just happy hours and fun social activities and a lot of company swag. Right. And a lot of people actually do think that is culture. And when they think about culture, types of initiatives, it's, well, let's do a fun happy hour every month. And that's not culture, right? Culture starts with purpose of why are we here as an organization? What is our company mission? But also, what is the buy-in of each employee as in terms of what each of our employees are doing to continue that mission, right? And is that it? Do each of our employees have a sense of purpose of what we're doing, how we're making an impact in the organization, how we're making an impact outside of the organization and around the world? And so I think it does start with that employee mission and purpose.
All right, so now let's get back to the question. What is the relationship possible between marketing and HR? Esther Stake.
We can be a strategic partner to HR, or someone who maybe this is their first and most important priority is how do we continue to attract, retain, right? Develop our top talent. If that's their purview, marketing can come in as a strategic partner to say, hey, let's work together to get that, to move that forward. While keeping, for marketing, our highest priority, which is revenue growth, in mind. And it's not one or the other. I think it has to be a joint approach, and it has to be something that you can't just put to the back burner hoping someone else will take care of it. It is something that I think marketers should be actively contributing and participating in, and partnering with their HR counterpart to do that.
Here is Esther's take on the importance of bite size, because as customers, the way we experience the world is shorter and shorter, more and more relevant, more at our fingertips, and intuitive. Check this out.
Here's an all hands, here's a training, you have to do a course that's maybe a little bit interactive where we ask you some questions just to make sure you're paying attention. And that's not how, as we as consumers know, that's not how consumers at all, digest information or even, make decisions in terms of doing research. Or learn a new skill set. Everyone is using these bite-sized, videos, and they're utilizing, trusted types of influencers or people that they trust to do their levels of market research or to understand something new or to learn a new skill set. Like, so many people are going to YouTube to learn how to do something, whether that's like how to fix something in their house or actually how to be a better, employee or learn a new skill set like social media or whatnot. They're learning from their peers and they're learning from video oftentimes, and it's bite-sized video forms of content. And we're not doing that as internally within businesses when we're looking at training and developing and even just providing more information to our employees.
Then we began to really think about in broader strokes, what are some of the things for HR to consider, right, in terms of the capabilities? How to think about content and channel and data. Here's Esther's take on the highest level. Here's how we would approach it. How many impressions did you receive? How many call to actions? Like how many there's so many more data points that you as a marketer look at that they would probably at this point just kind of scratch their head and go, wait a second, is this where we should be allocating our time? So what does a HR world look like to learn from the world of customer experience?
It's a great question, and I love it because I agree this is where marketers live and breathe, right? We have to be hugely data oriented in order to actually understand, again, what stage is your buyer or your customer at? What's the profile? What are the other channels that they're looking at and reading? What's the demographic and how do they consume information and content? And then how do I find the channels, the content, the strategy to get in front of them, get their attention when it's a hugely saturated environment, disrupt them where they are, and then feed them content that's immediately going to capture their attention but resonate with them in terms of what's their pain. That was top of mind. And then not only that, get them to a place where they need to look for a solution like yours. Hey, I get your pain point. This is top of mind. This keeps you up at night. We're the solution, right? You need a solution, and then we're the solution, and then you need this solution right now. And then actually mapping all of that, all of those touch points across different channels, across their journey, and actually mapping it to, did we actually get you to purchase, right? Which is the end goal, not just all of these touches and we got the eyeballs, right? We got the visit, we got the click. But no, we need to actually get it to purchase and then repurchase, right? And then continued purchase to get to lifetime value. And
it makes sense, right? We're asking marketers to apply what they already know, the playbook, the approach, the strategies internally. And as they think through it, they're basically applying all of the same mindsets from external to internal. Here's what Esther said as we continued our discussion and began to talk about it in terms of the life cycle of the experience, right? Similar to how we talk about customer experience life cycle, let's talk about employee experience life cycle. Check this out.
I mean, it is such a sophisticated game, but it's something that we live and breathe. And I absolutely think, how effective could HR organizations be if they had the same mentality when it came to, again, attracting, retaining, developing our employee base and the top talent? Because thinking through it in a way of, obviously you could start with life cycle. That's the easiest place to start. If you have a brand new hire, or you have someone who's been here and maybe they're starting a new role, or they're developing, or they're going into a manager level position and they're going to start to manage people. But what does that look like in terms of life cycle? I think there's segmentation that needs to happen, not just in terms of role-based type of training of, this is a skill set you need for a salesperson versus an accounting person, but actually getting into segmentation of, geo-specific, right? Of like there are different aspects of your role based off of where you are, which region you're in, but also based off performance, right? So really looking at like who is your top talent, who are your A players that you absolutely need to invest in to continue to retain them and engage them and develop them and move them up and through the organization. Or even looking at how do we get some of our low performers, right? Is this something where we're not setting them up for success and we can maybe get more out of these employees, especially when productivity is the name of the game right now of we have a ton, probably the majority of our workforce and our employee base, they're not that engaged. They're not doing A-level efforts, right? It's like they're not putting above and beyond level efforts. They're just coasting, and they're just waiting to kind of be told what to do. How do you get more out of that workforce? How do you get them engaged? How do you get them developing? How do you showcase to them that you're investing in them and that it's worthwhile for them to stay at the company and continue to lean in and continue to grow because we have a whole career path for you, right? Like, really thinking through that employee base and then putting in the programs based off of, what you see, what's kind of the next thing that you want to do, not just eyeballs, not just I'm checking the box because I have to do this, training and I'm going to do the bare minimum and I'm just going to watch something else while it plays and then I'll answer some questions, right? How do you get past that check the box mentality and then get it to a place where, oh no, they want to be invested in this learning and development because there's incentive, because there's a goal at the end of it where, for marketing, it's a purchase. And for this person, maybe it's a promotion, right? Maybe it's how do we get them to the next area and what's in it for them, right? And so I just think there's so much goodness in really being data driven and then actually creating programs that can scale so that you're not having to do a lot of one-offs, but they're broader based programs that you can segment your employee base and get them into top tier talent.
All right, let's double click. Our conversation with Esther now took us in the direction of how do you actually do this? The gap that is within HR to go from its current state to being able to send the right message in the right channel at the right time to meet people where they are in a way that's similar to marketing. I mean, that's a pretty substantial gap. That gap essentially is the entire world of marketing, right, that exists within your organization. So here's Esther's double click. I loved it.
I think you need to flip it. Just like marketing, we're always thinking about our buyers and our customers. Of you have to put yourself in that customer's shoes, or else they're not going to get. Why would they click? Why would they engage? It's this exact same thing with an employee, and really thinking about, okay, if you're segmenting your employee base, who are the ones that are ready for a manager, or that is their next step, is either a career up leveling or it's a people management type of skill set.
A lot of that makes sense, right? Marketing applied internally. So what we talked about next, similar as you would do when you're launching a marketing campaign, you think about biggest opportunities. What segment that you can focus on, right? Run a campaign on that would give you the highest return on the investment. Check out Esther's take on that.
But I think you could flip it on its head a little bit and look at it more of a joint ownership and accountability. And so, I think baby steps, marketing, going to HR and saying, hey, can we provide just any sort of, knowledge sharing, research, understanding, operational help, etc. around, or even like campaign ideas and, internal program ideas that we can help to continue to drive the right culture, the performance-driven output, focus, results-driven type of behavior that we know we want from our employees. And then also from HR coming, to marketing, and being able to say, hey, we have some of these priorities. We would love to learn from you, or we'd love some ideas or some support on how can we get this into a program that can scale. Utilizing data. How do you do audience segmentation? Like actually even thinking through it in the form of just a brainstorming session around, and again, the marketers do this all the time of like, what's our biggest market opportunity? Where should we be headed? Of that audience segment, how do we go deeper where we believe that we can actually get the most bang for our buck? and really target that very, specialized audience. What are the ways that we go about it, and what's the type of content. You could do the same thing with HR, but look at it from an employee-based standpoint of again, look at the mass, the entire employee base, and then where do we think is maybe the biggest opportunity for us.
I hope you enjoyed it. Esther was brilliant, as you can see. Check out the entire episode, and thanks for tuning in.